guys, it's Reagan and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. This reading vlog I'm very excited for because I'm finally revisiting one of my favorite fantasy trilogies I've started this year. That's right, friends, we're finally restarting the Age of Madness series by Joe Abercrombie. My goal for this vlog is officially to finish The Trouble with Peace by Joe Abercrombie. I'm about 100 pages into this book already. I started it a couple of months ago after finishing A Little Hatred, which I also adored. Joe Abercrombie has skyrocketed to the top of like my favorite fantasy writers. His ability to create grimdark characters, fascinating world is just so good, and this second trilogy of his set in the same world so far has been very good too. The first one was also amazing. I leave to go to London next week with my mom as a little celebratory trip for her. By the time this video goes up, I'll be back. Sneaky like that. But my goal is to try to finish this book before I leave. I like to give myself a little deadline and hope for the best, you know? So we'll see my success with finishing this. I feel like I am not alone in my love for this. All of my friends who have read it are obsessed. In particular, everyone says this book is like amazing, the second installment. So I'm just dying to see what is going to happen next and how I feel about it too. It's currently Friday evening. It's about 5 p.m. I'm just wrapping up work for the week. And this weekend's gonna be full of a lot of really fun things as well. We're hosting a pizza party tomorrow. I'm hoping obviously to do a lot of reading. We have the Japanese Grand Prix with F1, and I'm starting my Dungeons and Dragon group with some friends. So we have our session 0 on Sunday. So it's just gonna be a weekend full of lots of fun things. And I need to pack and such and such and such and such. So anyway, welcome to the start of the vlog. Let's hope I finish The Trouble with Peace. And let's kick things off. Do you ever just make Pokemon cookies and play Let's Go Pikachu? Because I highly recommend it. Girls be like, I needed this. And she did need it.
Yes. You look like you're towering over the circuit. You are literally the biggest thing.
Good morning, everyone. Very gloomy day outside. I'm about to sit down with my Kindle to do a spot of reading. Ignore Matilda chowing down on her breakfast over there. It was pate morning. It's her favorite morning. But anyway, let's get some coffee and read. I'm a latte artist. It's kind of gloomy and very cold today for our spring pizza party. Kind of a cold front, but it's still gonna be fun. We have Mario Party Jamboree. Like, there's no way this isn't going to be a good time, you know? The only thing holding me back is my eczema. Look at my latte art. If you look closely, you'll see Matilda. See? Hi friends, let's do a reading update with the old latte that's made. I have read about 70 pages of The Trouble with Peace since last night and into this morning, and I already knew I was loving this book. But it's been a couple months since I've been back in Joe Abercrombie's writing, Joe Abercrombie's world, and it's like, I'm obsessed with the characters in this. If you've read Joe Abercrombie books, you would know that he has this really special talent of making incredibly messed up characters that 1 second will horrify you, frustrate you, irritate you, enrage you, and then another moment will happen where you're like oddly endeared to them. And there's levels of this, I would say. Like, especially in this series, there are characters I adore, and even when they're screwing up, being problematic, I'm like, well, they're just trying their best. And I think Orso in this book is like a perfect example of that. I love him as a character, and he's one of my favorite Abercrombie characters I've ever read. But there are such an incredible array of characters in this series, and it's like some of it I can sense in terms of what quagmire he's going to pull us into and like what types of things they're going to get involved in. But it's also just like so hard to anticipate the direction of his stories. For more information in like a non-spoiler capacity, this series is set in the same world that we have been introduced to by Joe Abercrombie. It's an empire called the Union. It's ruled by a king. There's also a closed council. It's giving like the British monarchy, British government style sort of situation. There have been a lot of long-standing conflicts that have basically like bankrupted this empire. So to say that pretty much everyone is unhappy, from the very people on the top, from like heavy taxation, to everyone on the bottom who's toiling away in terrible labor conditions. And a new element of the story is that like innovation, industrialization is like part of this book too. And everything's sort of being financed by this like shady bank, which is like a very classic fantasy element, which I always really appreciate. And in this sort of setting, we're watching our characters interact. So we have people who are politically powerful, economically powerful, people who work for these powerful people who are in the north, people who are in the capital itself. And just like seeing the intertwinings of these characters and the plot line has just been like so unbelievably satisfying. I've read now officially 30% of this book, and I have to say with book 2, it is been nonstop from page 1 in terms of like the pacing of everything. It's just so good. Like this trilogy is by far like one of my favorite things I have read this year so far. I definitely feel like it's creeping at the top of my list of some of the best stuff I've ever read. It's just like an engaging plot, great characters, funny at times, and just like everything about Joe Abercrombie's writing just like really, really, really works for me, you know? With that in mind, I'm gonna drink this latte. I'm gonna do a little bit more reading before my friends come over to make pizza. And then I need to like prep some additional ingredients anyways for said pizza. And that's just how the cookie's gonna crumble, you know? So, cheers to that. Let's read. I owe y'all a reading update, but I lit this Vanilla Spice candle and I need to roll out I bought a bunch of pizza dough from the grocery store, but you have to like do a little stretch and fold and then let it sit for a few hours before you use it. So let's prep all this dough and eat this banana. Good morning, everyone. Coffee is brewed. I have my ebook ready to go. We have a nice sunny day to greet us. Matilda herself is basking in this morning sunshine post-breakfast. I won't lie, it took a bit of a personal day yesterday. Clay and I finished When Life Gives You Tangerines, and we were not doing great. I haven't cried so hard watching a piece of media, I don't think, in my entire life. The show is perfect. If you haven't watched When Life Gives You Tangerines, it's a emotional and beautiful story of family and love and generations. And it was quite literally one of the best things I've ever watched in my entire life. Simply put. Been tearing up all morning. Time to read Joe Abercrombie now. Hi friends, it's been a bit of a chaotic day, but it's 6 and I've wrapped things up. And I did get some reading done of The Trouble with Peace by Joe Abercrombie this morning. This book is so good. I've passed the 50% mark. Specifically, I think I'm like 52%. Yeah, 52%. This is so good. It's a culmination of everything that Joe Abercrombie is good at, and I am obsessed. I, like, in some ways too, with finishing When Life Gives You Tangerines, which was such a beautiful, emotional, human experience, it's kind of nice to have a palate cleanser of just absolute debauchery and violence. That might not make a lot of sense, but it makes some sense to me because like it's so wild what is happening in this book. The intensity of some of these scenes and moments that I've read so far. It's like I can see the larger picture of like where we're going, right? Unrest, rebellion, revenge. But who, what, where, and why? Who's gonna win? Who's gonna come out on top? What's the ultimate direction of things? I have no idea. And it just makes it so good. And just the character journeys we've already been on from book 1 through midway through book 2, so impressive. Like thinking about where and how we met some of these, oops, I restarted my Kindle, characters at the beginning of the story and like how much their lives have changed, how much their worlds have been turned upside down, or how the slippery slope of some of their decisions have brought them from point A to point B is just, again, another fascinating character study by Mr. Abercrombie, and really why I love his books so much. But in particular, this series really centers and has clear inspiration to labor movements, kind of like pre and during the Industrial Revolution. So with the fencing in of a lot of public land, privatization of land, the increase of industry, the lack of any type of labor protections, all of these things are coming to a head and creating absolute chaos and, unhappiness within these countries. Also seeing how governments are shifting and changing with the rise of power with some individuals, but we also see the consistent thread of a group we're familiar with continuing to be powerful, and everything was always tied to money and influence, Ah, boy, it's so good. But now you and I are gonna take this moment of time in the evening and we're gonna pack. We're gonna pack together. I don't even need to pack yet. Normally I pack really last minute, but we're not gonna do that this time. Today we're packing together and it's gonna be great. So let me get the tripod and we're gonna put some things in some packing cubes. All right, this is what we're working with. This is what I'm packing. I'm going to London for a week. I'm definitely an overpacker. I feel like I really tried to refine this time around though, but the weather, it's like quite nice during the day, but it still gets cold at night. So your girl's just trying to stay warm, So here we are. But let's put all this into here. Packing cubes, let's go. We're cozy in bed. I'm gonna get some serious reading done of my book. I'm getting hopeful. Maybe I'll finish this book after all. It's been so good. Obviously I started this vlog with 20% in, but now that I'm over the 50% mark, like honestly I loved it from page 1, but things are really getting good, and I fear I'm gonna be staying up a little late tonight reading this book, but I have to know what's gonna happen next. I got all my necessary beverages. overdressed or feeling casual today. But as you guys just saw, I woke up this morning and I immediately got to reading with The Trouble with Peace. Transparently, when I set the goal of trying to finish this book, which I was about 20% of the way in when I started this vlog before I left, it felt like a pipe dream in my head secretly. But I thought, let's just see what happens. Maybe I can knock this out. But now, this dream that felt out of reach might be something I'm gonna be able to accomplish, because I've read over the 70% mark now, and this book is so good. Like, this is so good. Maybe my favorite combination of characters Joe Abercrombie has ever put together in a book. I'm excited with every single point of view shift and change. The plot has me absolutely gripped. I'm on the edge of my seat, and now where I'm at in the story, we're obviously culminating towards like a large plot movement. I'm also so impressed because this is a second book in a trilogy, and I feel like second books tend to sometimes be the least exciting, or they can be. Second book slump, you know, is a saying for a reason, but there is no slump in this book now. Like, the wheels are starting to fall off the wagon, let's say, and so many characters have made decisions that they can't come back from, so they just have to see it to the end, which just makes it so agonizing to read. In terms of like all of the political machinations, you know, it's such a great picture of like a depiction of like political talk and treason and stuff like this said over a table of cards or a drink in a tavern. It's like one thing, but the true reality and the consequences of political blustering, especially when you're incredibly inexperienced and an idiot, is something else entirely. Like, this book is all about folly with power, folly with experience, with not really weighing the true like realities or consequences of decisions. A lot of young, rash people thinking that they are no better than their parents. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. Stepping out and like trying to make a name for themselves. And what's so interesting, especially with the context of Joe Abercrombie's other books, is that we tend to know a lot of the older figures in these stories, and we met them when they were young. So there's a lot of like character parallels and like thematic parallels that have now been executed through numerous books. And there's been some consistent things happening. It's like a great showcase of like so much can change, but also so much continues to stay the same. I feel like I'm being very vague because I have to be. I don't want to spoil anything, but like, let's just say the politics of this series, amazing. There's so many twists and turns, backstabbing, you know, revolution, treason, conflict, so much there to like be on the edge of your seat for. Next, we have an incredible cast of characters. Some characters you will just detest, some characters you'll be fascinated by, some characters you will love. There are numerous characters in this second trilogy that I adore, which I don't feel like I normally say for Abercrombie characters, but I love them. And then lastly, Abercrombie is quite good at writing combat, particularly warfare. I find his war front, war strategy writing to be some of my favorite to read in the fantasy space. This was cemented with one of his standalone novels, The Heroes, for me. I just find that he captures chaos, but also the quiet waiting period of pre-battle conflict like quite well within his books and stories. Anyway, I'm rambling. 70% of the way through, I am counting down the minutes until I can pick this book up again because it is so good, and I don't know what's going to happen, and that's the beauty of it all. I don't know who, what, where, why, who's gonna make, like what is gonna happen, who's gonna come out on top. I have no idea. I'm excited to see it unfold. And if you've read this series, Ricky, Orso, my faves, I love them. I'm obsessed with them. Anyway, I got stuff to do, unfortunately. Hello. It's lunchtime. So today is adult lunchable kind of day. We got hummus, we got an apple, I'm gonna peel some carrots. I got all these Baby Bell cheeses from Sam's Club the other day. Yeah. Oh, and crackers. That's what I'm missing. Crackers and maybe some beaver nuggets. I found these in the pantry. You know, live a little. and lunch is served. This side of Buc-ee's. All right, it's time to get serious. A post-work reading sprint of The Trouble with Peace. 70%. Let's try to get to 70 realistically, like 6%? 76% by the end of this sprint. Great news, I exceeded my goal and I've read to 78%. I am obsessed with this book. I feel like I'm not gonna have an issue finishing it because I am locked in. The whole book honestly has been fantastic. I have no notes on pacing. I have nothing I would really change so far. From the like literal plot pacing to the amount of screen time each character has gotten to the reveals and the twists and turns. Like I have literally, everything has worked for me. Everything has been a home run for me. The balance between the anxiety that the plot gives you because of the intensity, the violence and gruesomeness as you would expect in a grimdark fantasy novel with like moments of humor and levity, which are just satisfying, or not even levity, but there are moments that are hilarious because of maybe irony or other situations that also just like make me laugh out loud. Like I am laughing, covering my eyes, cowering, like every emotion I feel like I'm encountering with this book so far, and just basically everything so far has worked for me. And the build up of where I'm at right now, it's like everything is coming to a head and it is so stressful, but also I just read one particular scene that's a dinner scene, let's call it, and it's probably my favorite scene of the book. The contrast of Orso and Leo could not be better. It could not be better. Like the character parallels in this between the young characters and also characters from the past are just so good, and it just makes me obsessed. Like I love when there's a fantasy series where you're putting in the works, you're reading all of these books, and every book individually is so good, or even like within its own series sequence, but when you kind of get, but I also love that there's like bonus elements. Like when you're in, you know, your 9th, 10th book with an author, it's like you've built a lot of, there's a repertoire that you've been built. So there's references or like other elements that are included that are just like nice. And I think that makes these series like all the more satisfying, you know? But I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna make dinner here in a second. I need to run some errands, obviously, before I go. So that's that, but we're gonna get back on the reading train. Fear not. All right, it's dinner time. It's time to cut up a multitude of vegetables and a sweet potato, put on Lizzie McAlpine, and watch Top Chef. And dinner is slightly burned, but also served. Back sitting down watching White Lotus. So far the season has been really good. We're about halfway through. We are behind. We started watching it later because we were watching When Life Gives You Tangerines, obviously. What would you say? What are your feelings about this current season of White Lotus, Clay?
I think it's really good. It's a little different than the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, I feel like stylistically.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, me too.
Like each little like group of characters has been really interesting, and it's like less intense, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's like it feels.
So far, at least.
It feels at this point like I feel like previous seasons of the White Lotus do this thing where you feel very uncomfortable as things start to increase in tension. And there's been moments of discomfort, not to say, you know, that doesn't exist in this, but it's just like a little different. I do love the fun fact for all my fellow Bravo lovers that the Southern family in this, Mike White had them watch Southern Charm, and I would say one of the main characters of this show sounds so much like one of the people from that reality TV show. It's almost astounding at times.
Absolutely.
Like, it's bananas. It's not like, oh, inspired by, like, it's like his literal voice sounds like him. It's so funny. But anyway, we're gonna watch this and then I'm gonna get back to reading because I plan to finish my book tonight. Okay, friends, I've been reading. I've officially passed the 85% mark. I'm unwell, to say the least. I think I'm about, probably, I feel like ebooks end at like the 95, 96% mark, and then the rest is like acknowledgements and extras. I could be wrong, I haven't checked. So I feel like I'm really closing in on the end. Also, like, based on how the story is rolling out, you know? I think I'm really getting there. I am constantly confounded by one character in this book's stupidity. And something I feel like Joe Abercrombie does well, and I think has particularly done well with a particular character in this book, can show the danger of stupidity when paired with pride and arrogance. Because one character is dumb enough to be manipulated, but smart enough to be cruel and to have an awareness of their own self-importance. And you constantly see them shirk advice from people who are well-meaning, smarter than them, care about them, in favor of what they perceive that they should do. But the thing is, they're an idiot. And so it's so just constantly wanting to bang your head against the wall with this particular character. But anyway, 85% in. This is so good. And funny. I wasn't expecting to be laughing in this book as much as I have. Anyway, we're gonna finish this book tonight, and then you're gonna see me tomorrow, and I'm gonna wrap this whole thing up. At least that's what I'm manifesting right now. Because I feel like the book is so good, I'm not gonna fall asleep. And I usually always fall asleep when I read at night. It's just, bug. It's just the reality of the situation. Hi guys, it's Reagan, and welcome to the end of the vlog. Not the next day, because I did forget to wrap this up before I left. So I'm technically back from my trip, but I did finish the Trouble with Peace before I left, and oh my goodness, this was incredible. I am using all of my willpower to not immediately jump into book 3 of this trilogy, because the ending, how everything culminated, exploded, and where the story left us at the end had me shook, okay? This was incredible. 5 out of 5 stars. Both of these books are topping my favorites that I've read so far this year. With that in mind though, I have like other books on my TBR I really want to get to, so I'm just holding off for now to finish this, but this was 10 out of 10. Abercrombie might be in like my top 3 favorite fantasy writers. Like, he just does like my favorite things when it comes to plots and characters and just all of that. This was impeccable. I would change nothing. 5 out of 5 star read, everyone. But there you go. That's the end of the vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed, and definitely read Joe Abercrombie if you haven't already. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you soon with another one soon. Goodbye.